Hey everybody, welcome back to Inside the Force. Dave Cottingham here with Hannah Burr. How are you, Hannah?
I'm well, and how are you?
Doing good. We are almost to New Year's Eve in 2023. The year is coming to a quick end.
Crazy.
Crazy. Hope everybody had a great Christmas and great holidays, even though it's still kind of going on. How was your week, Hannah?
It was great. This year it was Christmas at my parents' house, so we were able to drive up to Pennsylvania and be with them at that time. How was your holiday?
Good. Did you any good gifts? Any Star Wars stuff?
Uh,
No?
no Star Wars, but I did get this cool Disney sweatshirt.
Oh, yeah. Okay. There you go.
Uh,
Nice. Oh, that's the holiday 5K that you
yeah,
did. Yeah. Yeah.
the 5K that I totally prepped for and
Right.
trained and everything. But no, I didn't. It was a mistake.
Right.
No, it was fun to do though. And did it. So can't wait till next year. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, got some I got a cool comic book for my dad. Um, Mom, dad gave us some other really cool things. Uh,
Nice.
and then, I mean, yeah, that was it. It was more to us. It was more important about, and there were some gifts that we received earlier this year because that's just when they landed, but they were Christmas gifts. But ultimately, in my mind, it's just all about the fact that we were able to be together with family because
Sure.
that's so important. And to me, that's it sounds corny, but that's a gift enough for me. Sorry, you threw that question of any cool gifts, and literally I blanked out on everything.
Well, I don't get really any gifts anymore.
Oh
Yeah. No, I mean I get some stuff from my in-laws and stuff like that, but I don't really, it's not when you get I feel like when you get kind of our age or my age, I'm older than you, but it's I mean, you just buy your own stuff if you want something. I don't
no,
need
yeah,
anybody. Me and Brooke, my wife, we don't really buy each other stuff. We buy stuff for our kids and we buy stuff for the house, and we take Disney trips. That's kind of our gifts to each other, kind of thing. So it was all about the kids, and they got, I showed you. Oh, I didn't think I showed it on the show,
no,
did I?
you
'Cause
were, but then but then we were like, well, this would be the one time she would actually watch it
watch,
and
yeah.
see it.
So I got my daughter Sam, who turned 14 last week. She obviously loves Ahsoka, and I wanted to buy. We went to Disney in October, and Galaxy's Edge is selling the Clone Wars versions of her sabers, the ones from the show when she was the flashbacks,
Hmm.
and they're really neat. Because they switch from blue to green, right? Because she has both colors. So I was thinking I was going to buy those, but then as I got online and was searching, I remembered they came out with the the older versions of her that Rosario Dawson uses last May the 4th of 2022. And it was this limited edition box set of her sabers. And luckily I found it on eBay. Somebody selling it for pretty much what they sold for a little bit more, but pretty much what they sold for is crazy. It was like an auction that no one was bidding on. So I just happened to catch it and I got them in. I showed them to you. I mean, when you open the case, it plays her theme song. It's ridiculous. So anyway, I was going to give it to her for her birthday on the 20th, but with her daughter, or with my other daughter, her sister, who's 9, she had a little bit more on her Christmas list. So Sam didn't have as much to open. So I thought, well, I'm going to save it for Christmas. So I actually saved it to Christmas, and man, she opened it on Christmas and was just floored. So that was a big thing that we did for her. She got the saber. So we're going back to Disney in January, and we got to buy the blades now so she could have the blades to put in there. But it's like one of 6,000, which is pretty neat. So
That's insane.
yeah.
Collector's item.
And then my youngest daughter, who if I haven't said on here, loves Chewbacca, like her favorite. So her thing that she got this from her in-laws. She got the Lego Chewbacca. Right?
That is amazing. I didn't even know Lego made that.
You can't like she's building it right there. She's starting to build it right there.
Already
the legs.
Really?
The legs are done. Yeah, the legs are done. So she's working on the upper body now. So
that's a lot of great progress.
It's like 2,000. What is it? Yes, 2,319 pieces. So, so she's having a time right now. Yeah,
that's fun.
It's fun. You know, they got Sam, my oldest, got a Ahsoka water bottle. Eliza got a couple other. She got most Disney stuff, but anyway, it was a good Christmas for them. They had a good time, so
it's good.
Like you said, it was just good to have them. You know, it's good to have Christmas with them, and you know, it's a lot of work for us parents, but you know, it's fun. It's fun.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
Yeah, you know, and we were just talking about it. I mean, feels like everybody's sick lately, and we couldn't really get together with everybody that we normally do. So it was just kind of us at the house, which was nice. But because my wife actually was sick pretty much up until New Year's or up until Christmas.
Right.
So it hasn't been too great as far as getting, seeing everybody, but it's been good.
Yeah.
It's been good. So hope everybody had a great Christmas and spent some time and had some time off and enjoyed and kicked back and reflected on 2023, which is what we're going to do on this episode. You know, StarWars.com, they do a good job of putting out a whole list of stuff that came out in 2023 because like you were saying, a little bit kind of bleeds together. You don't really remember what came out this year. Was it last year? I mean, I feel like Obi-Wan came out this year, but it didn't. That came out last year.
I kept on thinking Andor came out this year.
No, Andor didn't come out either.
Oh.
So well, and Andor probably would have, I feel like, no, actually I don't think because it's getting pushed back, but it's getting pushed back because of the strike. But some stuff got pushed because of the strike, so we would have gotten Skeleton Crew was supposed to come out this year, but that got pushed.
Mm-hmm.
So let's run through a little bit of that, and then we'll go through some comments from our last. I actually didn't look in if there was any, which usually it is, but we'll look at that here. Okay, so first up from 2023, we got. I'll just run through some of these and we'll kind of talk about them. But season 2 of The Bad Batch was earlier this year. That feels like a long. That feels like it was last year.
That does not feel like this year. That feels like that was forever ago.
Yeah. And then we got season 3 of The Mandalorian. And we got, of course, Ahsoka.
Mm-hmm.
So those were and then we did get season 2 of Visions, Star Wars Visions, or volume 2.
I thought that was this year.
Yeah. So those were the Disney Plus releases. So I don't know. I guess initial thoughts on that batch of stuff that we got this year.
I made notes of the 4 of them because otherwise I would not remember.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like. Well, speaking of Batch, we can talk about Bad Batch too. I mean, I feel like also with that in Mandalorian, it's like, I don't know. Is it weird for me to say I don't know how I feel about the releases this year? Is that weird to say? Because I think it says something when you and I are like, oh, that felt like that was forever ago. when
Yeah.
other shows that were forever ago feel like they just happened yesterday. Is that saying something or
It could be. That's true. That could be.
I don't know. I think out of the four, the two I remember the most and enjoyed the most would probably be Ahsoka and Visions too.
Oh yeah.
And there like but there were highlights, there were more highlights in Mandalorian season 3 that I loved than in Bad Batch season 2. But I don't I
Yeah.
guess I guess in reflection I feel like I don't even know what I feel like. I feel like we got a lot this year, but we in reality we didn't. Like I don't have words. I guess because I thought, oh, other things came out this year that I will like gladly talk about and it'll be fine. And then I'm like, wait, crap, that was last year.
Right.
So what are your thoughts?
Well, I think that's a good point. I think, things that we really enjoyed, I think sat with us a little longer. Like you said, Andor and Obi-Wan. I feel like I didn't. It doesn't feel like Obi-Wan was last year. And I think it again goes back to what we were talking about. I think it says something about this gap that we're having with any releases right now. It just feels like a long time since we've had something, and we don't know yet what's coming, or we know what's coming, but we just don't know when. But how memorable were these things? I mean, season 2 of Bad Batch. To be honest, I enjoyed it. I know I enjoyed it, but I got to rewatch it because there's things I don't remember about it. Season 3 of Mandalorian was really good, but I feel like the memories I have of that are really just of Mandalore, and a lot of Bo-Katan, and then Ahsoka, obviously I really loved, and that's kind of the freshest thing in my mind,
Right.
just because I've actually gone back and rewatched some of that. So, in Visions, Visions I'm not really high on in a way. So, I watched, there were a couple of good ones that were really, there were a couple of episodes that were really good though. But yeah, my thing was Ahsoka. I mean, I think I was so looking forward to that series. It hit really well for me. But I think the length of time since then, right now, has really kind of just put things out of my mind faster than I think they normally would have been.
Yeah.
So, and there was a, which I haven't watched, but there was a Young Jedi series, Young Jedi Adventure series that came out. That actually is, I heard it. I'm hearing and reading that it's tracking really well. Obviously, kids love it,
Yeah.
but I haven't watched that.
I
So
have.
yeah, I think, yeah, I think if you kind of just think about the recent years of releases, I don't know. Now that we're talking about it, it's like last year was Andor and Obi-Wan, and I mean, right there, that's a pretty solid year.
Bravo. Bravo.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I agree with you. I think, I don't know. I think it was good, but I guess the only new thing we got was really Ahsoka, because Mandalorian was season 3, Bad Batch was season 2, and Visions was season 2.
And maybe that's why Ahsoka is so fresh. Is not only is it the latest thing out of the list that we got, but it is the quote unquote newest thing as well.
Yeah,
And I mean, while I have story and character questions of Ahsoka, and did not enjoy it as much as I enjoyed, say, Andor or season 1 of Mandalorian. I will say there are so many memorable moments from that show. And usually it's memorable moments for me that determine if I'm going to go back and rewatch it. I would rewatch Ahsoka. I would rewatch Visions 2. I would not rewatch Bad Batch 2 or Mandalorian 3.
Okay, that's fair.
Because those bits. But what you said when you said like all I could really think of was Bo-Katan when I thought of Mandalorian, I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing because Mandalorian is quote unquote broad enough that it could be about any Mandalorian. And I feel like season 3 was more about Bo-Katan than it was about Mando. So I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, but I feel like the highlights just aren't there. Meanwhile, in Andor, there were so many wow moments. In Obi-Wan, there were so many wow moments. And while I didn't like Obi-Wan as much as you, I still like there's still a lot of like whoa moments.
Yeah.
And I almost wonder, I feel like that's part of Star Wars that some things are missing is those whoa moments. And it's not and I'm not saying like shock factor like in The Last Jedi there are a bunch of whoa moments, but I still don't think The Last Jedi is a solid film in the context of Star Wars. But I feel like there weren't as many this year in the shows in general. There were definitely some in Visions. There were definitely some in Ahsoka though. And I know you're not a big fan of Visions, but I love Visions. Oh my gosh. Just seeing the creativity and the beyond. Yeah. Like
no, I think this one had better episodes than the first season did.
Completely agree. Agree. I'm glad they chose to make it more global. While Correct. I love the Japanese style anime and I still think about that Vision season 1 with this Sith hunter. Like I think about that one a lot. And also the Luke and Leia one. Well, they're not Luke and Leia, but you know what I mean.
Right. Yeah.
There were a lot more from this one that I remember.
Agreed. Yeah, agreed. So those were your shows. Of course, we had some game announcements and some game releases. Really, the big game was Jedi Survivor that came out. That was pretty phenomenal. Did you never got to play, right? You just I watched the cutscenes and stuff.
Yeah. Man, that was like 3 hours. It was so long.
Oh, it's its own movie. Yeah,
it is. It's a part 1 and part 2 of a movie. Let's be honest.
That's true. Yep.
And then we have that new game coming out in 2024, right?
Right. There's an announcement this year that we got that was for Star Wars Outlaws. Don't know when that's going to be out yet, but it will be out in 2024. That looks incredible. It's the first canon open world game that's going to be out, starring Kay Vess. So yeah, it's going to be incredible. I think that one is. Hopefully, it lives up to the expectations. I think the expectations of that is extremely high right now. You know, Jedi Survivor has put a very big bar up there because just being able to play a Jedi and do those things, which is going to be different because in Outlaws you're not a Jedi, you're a smuggler. So it's got a very Assassin's Creed, Batman Arkham style
Skyrim
movement to it, and espionage kind of thing. You know, you got to sneak around, you got to do stuff, you got to hide, you got to kill people, by sneaking up on them, and so it's a lot of espionage type stuff.
Yeah, but who knows? You might find a random Jedi saber, and that might end up being your weapon of choice. Even though you won't.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I think it takes place between 5 and 6.
I think you're right.
So, I think hopefully, I don't know if it'd be neat if she gets kind of wrapped up in the rebellion somehow, obviously, and kind of cross paths with Leia or Luke or
Well, maybe that could be
Lando or
one.
something.
That could be a choice you can have. Maybe that, that's an option. An option is to join the rebellion.
Yep. Yeah, so that was the game. So now Jedi Survivor, obviously there's going to be a third game. Cameron Monaghan, who plays Cal Kestis, has already kind of said they're working on it. They're developing it. So there will be a third Jedi game coming out to wrap up that series, or not, maybe not wrap up. I don't know if it's going to be a trilogy or maybe they're going to keep going. Who knows? But that game is really really established itself, and I think similar to Dr. Aphra in the comics, like Cal Kestis has become a very popular character, even though he's a game character.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a matter of time before I think we see more stories with him and find out what becomes of him, because to me, that's a big question I have is, these characters that are introduced in the middle of these timelines where we know other things are happening and, the situations of the galaxy. It's interesting to know, or it's to me in a way to find out what happens to these people,
I mean, I wonder if we'll get Cal and Ahsoka too, because in Ahsoka there are clearly things that are huge connections to the those games. Like,
yes,
there's so much. So, and he looks exactly like Cal. So, come on,
well,
let's get a live action here.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, totally. His likeness is definitely him, and he's a very good actor.
Oh, he is. He's phenomenal.
Yeah, so it'd be good to get him. I mean, you could do a whole Disney Plus series with him around this time. So
oh yeah,
I think people would watch it. So that the game stuff is pretty big. I think the next thing, of course, Star Wars Celebration happened in Europe this past April.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of things were announced that, fortunately, we still don't really know many details of. The big thing was 3 films were announced. And that's when they revealed the Star Wars eras.
Yes.
Right? Dawn of the Jedi, the New Jedi Order, High Republic, Old Republic, the Galactic, the Age of Rebellion and things like that. So 3 films. One is Dave Filoni's that takes place during the New Republic. You got Rey coming back in a New Jedi Order movie, and then you got James Mangold heading a movie set in the Dawn of the Jedi era. So incredible announcement. I think the hype was like, yes, but then crickets. We haven't heard nothing. Now again, a writer's strike happened, an actor's strike happened, kind of put a rail and derailed everything in Hollywood for about 6 to 9 months. So I get it, but and you're hearing rumors that this Rey movie could be shooting this coming year, April-ish, 2024. That's apparently the rumor.
Oh wow. Yeah.
So, but you got to expect that means are they trying to hit a December 2025 date? That's apparently the target date. So we'll see. But I don't know. I think this was probably, the game was pretty big announcement. Things like the Acolyte getting announced, and Obviously, we knew a season 2 of Andor was coming and Skeleton Crew and things like that. But I mean, this by far was, I don't know of any announcement this year that tops this.
I don't think there is.
Yeah. So where's your excitement level now, though, since April of that announcement?
Like, at first I was like, okay, because my opinion still stands that Rey's story's done. Like, that's my thing. I've not been a huge fan of Rey. That's just me. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. That's just me. And so as time has gone on, I've learned more about it. And pretty much the rumors now are that it is her film. Like, it's going to star her. And I was like, why? I'm not saying Daisy Ridley's a bad actress. She's great. I love her as an actress. So I'm not excited for, like, my excitement in that was already pretty low. It's gone even lower. Dave Filoni's movie, I think it would be cool to have some kind of Avenger-esque thing going on, because that's the rumor of what that is. But I'm still meh about it because it's in the same time period. If we're going to do, my opinion was, if we're going to do movies, let's do movies that are like really beyond the Skywalker time period. Like, let's explore, let's do more. So the one I'm really excited for is Dawn of the Jedi. Just because we're in a completely different time period. Nothing's going to be connected. How fantastic is that? It is about darn time. So what about you?
Yeah, I'm pretty much in agreement with all of that. I think I'm most excited about Dawn of the Jedi. I think that Filoni's movie is, I'm excited about it, but I mean, part of me is like, I'd be okay with that was just a Disney Plus movie.
Yeah, agreed.
I don't even know if it needs to be in theaters, but or I'd rather have it as a series, like a 3-part series or something. But Rey, now that's interesting about Rey though, because I don't think, because I agree with you, there are rumors out there that she's going to play a bigger part, but I still don't think it's going to ultimately be about her. Because if it is, you need to name it Episode 10. And I don't think it's going to be Episode 10. I think they're going to try to do new stories, but you can't really do it without her, because she's got to be there from the time period that we're in, and the start of this new Jedi Order. And I just want to get to the point where there, we've got a few hundred or 1,000 more Jedi again out in the galaxy.
Yes.
I just want to get to that point again.
And you can do that without her. Or if you really wanted her in it, you could do like a couple of holocrons or something. But you can do it without her being a major like, the Skywalker saga is done. It is done. Yes, we don't need more. Have it take place like 150 years into the future where there are a lot of Jedi around.
Right, yeah, you could have done that. Yeah. And it's not to say that they won't do that eventually, but I think they're trying to, I don't know, I think they're trying to pass. They must have had something come up that they really liked the story and thought that that's the only thing I can think of. Now, you remember the other announcement, and I don't think it's in this list that I'm looking at, but the other announcement kind of that coincides with this a little bit is the announcement that Dave Filoni is now the chief creative officer.
Yes.
So all of these things have to kind of go through him now.
Yeah.
So if there's anything about the story that maybe doesn't make sense to him anymore, or, it doesn't work with the overall arc and timeline of everything else that's happening, definitely things that might change. I don't know. We'll have to see, but I do think, the fact that she's coming back, she must have liked what they were writing for her. because I think she's one of those actors that doesn't just take anything. I think she really looks at what the character is doing, what the story is. Does it make sense? It's similar to John Boyega. I mean, he won't come back unless there's something significant with his character and it moves his story along. But and I heard there's rumors that they're trying to get him to come back too, because that was kind of left unanswered. This whole thing about, is he force sensitive? Is he not force sensitive? Never really answer that question at the end of The Rise of Skywalker. So we'll see.
We will.
Yeah. So big announcements there at Celebration. Of course, this year also marked the 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
There was lots of, there was a book that came out, Certain Point of View, Return of the Jedi. There were comics that came out that tied into the 40th anniversary. So now all three original trilogy movies have had 40-year anniversaries. Incredibly, that's incredible.
It's amazing.
Amazing. I mean, the original Star Wars is going to be 47 this coming up. This coming May. I know, because I'm the same age as the original movie.
How do you feel?
I feel like I'm getting older. So, but that was, that was a cool thing that they did at Celebration. Celebration tends to have a lot of tie-ins to anniversaries and things like that. So that was really neat to have. Okay, so let's see. It also marked. Did it mark the 20th anniversary? Yeah, it was the 20th anniversary of Attack of the Clones, I believe, too.
Oh, wow.
Right? Because that came out in 2000. That came out in 2000. No, that was last year. That was 2020. That was 2022.
Okay. I was about to say, I didn't think it was this year.
Yeah, it was they talked about it last year. See, I'm getting my years mixed up already.
I'm pretty sure the pandemic is to blame for us just blending time together.
Yes. Yeah, because it came out in 2002, so it's been 20 years, yeah. So, so High Republic in the publishing world, phase 2 ended. Phase 3 began this past couple months ago, back in November with Eye of Darkness. So that is going strong. I mean, that is coming to an end. I feel like that's kind of flown by. The High Republic series.
We're so behind.
I think the thing about it is, with the High Republic, with it being all publishing right now, you've got the books, you've got comics. I think what's going to happen is we're going to start getting either live. Obviously, we're getting a live action show about that era with the Acolyte. Mm-hmm. I think there's going to be, the Jedi series kind of tied into the High Republic. Mm-hmm. So
not kind of. They straight up did.
Well, they straight up did. You're right. So there's a lot of stuff I feel like that's going to be coming out around that era. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a game that came out around that time. So I think all that's going to do is then almost force people to look for more content around this time, and then they're going to dive into this stuff. So I believe these books are going to kind of live on for a while, because people are going to look at something like the Acolyte and say, man, I want to learn more about that era. Because there is a character that's going to be in the Acolyte, apparently from the High Republic books. So then you're going to want to go and read those stories and figure out those stories, and people are going to talk more about them. So I don't think they're as popular. I think they're going to get more popular as we go.
I completely agree. And I think tying the High Republic to the game was a real smart move, because I think that was also a way for them to kind of test the waters to see how are people going to react to this. Then announcing the timeline, of course, people are going to be like, oh, High Republic. But I completely agree with you. I still think that character is going to be Avon Chris, because that one actress looks very much like her. And I think that would be very, very cool if we got some holocrons or whatever of Avon Chris.
Yes.
But it could be someone else. Like, who knows? But I think you're right. I think that was very smart of them to do, because then people, while they're waiting for the next thing to come out, can go back and enjoy all that material that already exists of the High Republic while they're waiting for the next thing. So I think that was actually a very smart move, because originally I was thinking, well, that's great, you're coming out with all this new material, but why are you doing it on a time or during a time that nobody's aware about? And frankly, people who don't read the books don't care, because it doesn't impact anything that they're viewing. So I think it was actually a very smart plan there.
Yeah, I agree. And just so everybody remembers or realizes, phase 1 of the High Republic was roughly 200 years before episode 1. Mm-hmm. Phase 2 actually went further back in time. Mm-hmm. I think it went back 150 years more in time. And then now phase 3 takes place about a year after the events of the first phase.
Yes.
So you kind of pick back up. And then, again, going back to kind of rumors that are floating around for the Acolyte. The Acolyte takes place about 100 years before episode 1. So, it's about 100 years after phase 1 and 3 of the High Republic. So, again, there's a few characters, obviously, that probably can survive that long that are apparently going to be part of this series, Acolyte, but we shall see. And I keep hearing rumors again about it really truly being the origins of how the Sith started infiltrating the Jedi, which is, man, it's going to be so good.
Oh, I can't wait. Oh, it's going to be so good.
Like I said earlier, Star Wars Young Jedi Adventures was an animated series for the younglings on Disney Plus. That was set in the High Republic era. Yoda's even in that series. I've seen bits and pieces of that, but apparently a character called Nubs is the real popular one right now on there. So anyway, it does look cute. If my daughters were a little younger, I'm sure they would have got into it, but they were kind of grown out of it already. Okay, and then of course a bunch of comics came out this year. There were some dark ones. Dark Droids is running right now, which is pretty popular. But you had Star Wars continue on, Darth Vader, Dr. Aphra, Bounty Hunters. Those are your 4 main series this year that were coming out. We did get some continuation stories from Kira with Crimson Reign and Hidden Empire, which is interesting because it takes place around the original trilogy with Crimson Dawn and things like that. So those are very interesting. And then in the publishing world, I think, which I don't have it in front of me, but I feel like the big one this year was Shadow of the Sith that we talked about.
Was that this year?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that came out this year.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're right. No, it came out last year. June 28th, 2022.
Oh. Well, we didn't probably talk about it till this year, though.
Yeah, we probably didn't talk about it till this year.
Okay, so then let me see what did come out this year, because I don't know if I
A Rise of the Red Blade came out this year.
Yes, you're right. Rise of the Blade came out.
Battle Scars.
Yes, Battle Scars. True.
I'm pulling it up. Rise of the Red Blade. Certain Point of View. High Republic stuff. That's comics. High Republic.
Yeah, Crimson Climb was a Kira novel, but yeah, lots of comics, definitely for sure. And yeah, and you're right. It was definitely Battle Scars was the big one. Was one of the
Yeah,
big
and so
ones.
was Rise of the Red Blade.
The Rise of their Blade. Yep. Yeah.
Wait,
So
Thrawn Alliances is coming out in 2024? What?
Thrawn Line. Oh, it was it's the comic
Oh, that's the comic.
adaptation.
Okay. Okay. Huh.
Yeah. Yeah, they're doing comic adaptations of that.
But yeah, book wise, I think your biggest ones are Battle Scar and Rise of the Red Blade.
And then of course, the High Republic stuff is out
Yes.
this year.
Yes.
So
I wasn't
lots of High
including
Republic
that.
stuff. Yeah. So, and then of course, there's not that many announcements right now for the novels this coming year. But we will talk about some of that and most of that on the next episode, because that's going to be our look ahead to 2024. And then, of course, looking ahead to what we've got in store for everybody in 2024 as far as Inside the Force. I've got a lot of stuff that I'm working on to kind of lay out to everybody. And, of course, I'll lay it out to you, Hannah, first, because you should probably know what we're going to do.
About it, I'm not completely in the dark.
Correct. Yes, correct. So, yeah, so 2024, we'll talk about that next week. I think this, as far as 2023 goes, I don't know. For me, I mean, I think there's still a lot of, two sides to the fandom in a sense in Star Wars right now. I feel like there's a lot that are disappointed, at least the way it sounds in some circles and some social media things that I've seen, that there's a little bit of disappointment right now in what's happening with Star Wars. But then on the flip side, you still got a lot of people that are just love what we're having, love the direction that it's going. I won't sit here and tell you that I think 2023 was a bad year in any sense. I think 2023 had some killer moments. I think for me, after going through that list, I think Ahsoka, Jedi Survivor, I think in some of the comics, I think those kind of stand out to me the most. But, I don't know. I think I'm at that point where I'm just kind of settling in and relaxing, and then hopefully, boom, they come out hard in 2024 with just some great stuff. I'm hoping that's what we're getting.
I would agree.
So what about you?
You're right. It wasn't a bad year, but it felt like a meh year in the sense of there were highs and lows that average out to an average year. I just can't wait to get beyond the Skywalker saga. I can't wait for Acolyte and going beyond. So and I'm also excited for Skeleton Crew so that we get new characters. I'm excited for Tales of the Jedi because I hope that is their way of getting some of the Clone Wars stories that they weren't able to tell into animated form. Yeah, I'm looking forward to 2024. 2023 was an average year. Let's shoot for above average.
That's right. That is right. Okay, let's see some comments from our last episode. We got a few from our buddy Cyber Ren. who was mentioning that was wondering if we were taking his comments to heart. I mean, say what you want, Cyberman. That's okay. It's okay.
Bring it on.
Yeah, we don't mind. It doesn't affect us.
No.
Let's see. He mentions Mace isn't dead, because we talked about the new Mace Windu book coming out.
Mm-hmm.
He said, in the very same movie of his supposed death, we see Anakin and Obi-Wan virtually free-falling through the levels of Coruscant, jumping from ship to ship. And you're telling me Mace can't do the same? He didn't get sliced in half. He was just blown out the window. He probably went into hiding like Yoda, knowing what's happening. And for whatever reason, they've just never gone back to his story. Now, I have to vehemently disagree with you guys on one thing. Bad Batch has too many episodes. Are you crazy? Man, everyone is brainwashed now into thinking that 8 to 10 episode seasons is acceptable. Hell no. TV series used to run 24 episodes, and that's the way it still should be. Look at Hawaii Five-0. It pushed out 25 in some seasons. There's no such things as wasted episodes or dead ones or filler ones, etc. Every episode is a chance to get to spend more time with beloved characters and see them develop, grow, or whatever. Every episode does not have to follow the main storyline. It's perfectly okay to wander a bit and explore something new, something else, as that lets us see different sides of our characters. Man, someone has to hit you guys with a force choke and get you back to believing the more the better with our favorite shows. Not less is more thinking. Because that's why we're waiting a year or more between seasons. If they cut it off at short runs, I hate that. I want more. Well, here's the thing, Cyberran. Just to reply to that. So the thing about it is I think the one thing a lot of us fans, now, again, I feel like, now, I hope I don't, I'm not trying to sound arrogant or anything like that, but Hannah and I work in this business. We're working with budgets, and she's more than me, really, producing shows for networks. And I got to tell you, the one thing that every network worries about is money above everything. And I cannot imagine, well, I mean, I can a little bit, but working on a Star Wars show cost millions upon millions to make. So first off, there's no way they can afford 25 episode seasons. This is not possible because of we're talking about a fantasy world, right? He gave the example of Hawaii Five-0. You can go to Hawaii and you can shoot that show pretty inexpensively, just by paying your actors. That's pretty much all you're paying the most about, because you can shoot probably a whole episode in less than a week.
You probably would also pay for potentially location fees. You'd also have to pay for police cars to warden off different areas. But still, if you were to take that price and compare it to the budget of doing even one Star Wars episode,
correct.
I know we're talking about millions of dollars, but we are talking about millions of dollars in difference.
Millions, yes. But you can't go to
Batu?
Can't go to Coruscant and shoot, or Batu and shoot. I mean, I guess you could now. You can go to Disney World, I guess, and shoot a little bit like that. But you can't go to Coruscant and shoot. You can't go to Naboo and shoot. You have to digitally create those things, and it just takes a lot. I mean, and plus there's aliens, so there's a lot of makeup, and there's a lot of, makeup artists and set decks and all the construction. I mean, it's just millions upon millions of dollars.
And before you start saying you'll save money doing CGI, while that might be true, you're going to suffer with quality. We've seen it with Marvel. They really pumped into CGI for some of their later stuff, and the visual quality was horrific. Meanwhile, you look at Andor that has a lot of practicals. It's breathtaking.
Yeah, no, it is. But I gotta, I do disagree in a sense too that, I think shows like crime shows, especially, the Hawaii Five-O's, the NCIS's, the Magnum PIs, the CIS's, whatever, those stories are about crimes. So you can easily have 25 crimes that you're covering in a season because they're all unique. They're all different. And that's what's unique about them. I feel like is that it's actually really crazy to think of some of these crimes that are happening in these shows. They get really creative with how one, it's like who done it. It's a whole who done it episode, right? Where who did it? Why did they do it? And normally, if you really pay attention to the shows, you meet the killer usually in the first act, and it always comes back to that person. It's like clockwork. But within those, you get some character development, but the characters are cops. They're police officers or they're investigators. It's to me like Hawaii. What I loved about Hawaii Five-O, to be honest, because me and him share that love of that series. For me, it was about the underlying storyline that was happening throughout the end of each episode. You kind of get a little bit of movement on that. That to me was really what caught me because I was interested in the McGarrett, the main character, like his background storyline with his mom and his dad and this villain that was always coming back. I mean, that was really what drew me into that show, not the crime part of it. I mean, that was cool, but there were a lot of episodes that you didn't. I mean, you could look back on all those seasons, like they didn't really matter. I still strongly believe that if you do 20 or 25 episodes for like a Star Wars series, I just think you got to have them. I don't know. I just think they're better if they matter to the story, the main, whatever story is going on. If they all did that, then great. But they can't afford that. I mean, they're talking millions upon millions of dollars to spending, and that they're not probably going to make back. So you have to try to cut it back, and I think you have to make them. Like you said, you have to make the quality matter of each one of them. So, and I think that's what they're running into, and that's what Iger's talking about right now. Is that it's about quality, not quantity. Mm-hmm. So I think you're going to see less episodes. I mean, Mandalorian's only 8 episodes a season, right? Is that right? Yeah, I think
so.
No, I think we're getting. Could be wrong about that. Am I wrong? No. Anyway. It might be 12. I can't remember. See, but I think they matter. I mean, I think each one of those kind of builds upon each other and matter more than having a drawn out. I don't know. That's my feeling about it.
I think the thing is this too. Look, filler episodes can make a difference, and I'm not saying and whenever. Like, I don't diss filler episodes because I think there are times where filler episodes actually still help with character development. They still move the story along, even though it's more about that one person. The problem with Bad Batch is those filler episodes didn't do anything. You could remove them from the story and that's my test as if a filler episode belongs. You could remove it from the story and nothing changes. That's when I think you don't need it and it shouldn't be that long. Now, if you remove it and something's missing, then yes, it's important. I think instead of comparing it to a cop show, I would compare it to something like Supernatural. Where in Supernatural, there's one filler episode that is it's actually probably one of my favorite episodes in the entire series, is an episode called Groundhog Day. Now, theoretically, if you remove Groundhog Day, it doesn't necessarily affect the story, but you lose a huge part of Sam Winchester's character. And you miss that whole aspect of him realizing how powerful these angels are, and B, how important family is. It's a huge thing. So that's what, and I'm sure, and I think Dave agrees with me. That's what we're saying when we're saying it was too long. There were too many episodes. It's because there were episodes in there that when we finished it truly didn't matter. You could remove them. Nothing would have changed. It didn't even provide a character growth.
Yeah. Right.
So that's what we're talking about. Some filler episodes are great for shows. Sometimes people just need a comedic laugh. Sometimes they need a breather. But the ultimate question is, does it matter?
Right.
Is it needed?
Yeah. Yeah. Ultimately, that's the question, I think.
And those are the questions that Disney is going to be asking, especially when it comes to Star Wars and the amount of money that each episode costs to make.
That is right. I mean, everything, and I know that most people know this, everything is built around the budget.
Yes.
How much, there's so many, you can tell in most shows where they have to cut money. You know what I mean? Like, you can tell that, I mean, I remember Walking Dead was really big about that. Because you, in the early stages of Walking Dead, they didn't have a lot of money when they were first starting out. You could tell that they chose storylines because it cut cast, because there's so many characters in The Walking Dead. You can't afford to pay them all to be in every episode.
No.
So you had to create these side stories to kind of eliminate characters out of episodes. I mean, it's clearly that's what they were doing. It wasn't for the story. You know, they had to first decide, well, who can be in this, and then we'll make the story, right? So,
and the other part of that too is you can tell, anybody can tell when a show got their budget increased.
Exactly.
You can always tell that too.
And you kind of saw that a little bit, honestly, with the Book of Boba Fett. I know you didn't watch every episode, but but it was weird how we had this whole storyline with Boba Fett going, but then all of a sudden, boom, 2 episodes, we got really only one or two scenes with him, and then we followed Mando because, again, you can't afford to put everybody in those episodes. You know, you had to kind of choose to go that route for a little while, because then it started feeling like, wow, this feels like a Mandalorian season, and it kind of was. But anyway, you know, it's all driven by money and budget, unfortunately, and it'd be nice if they could just do whatever they wanted and spend whatever they wanted, but I mean, everything's driven by consumer consumption and what people are paying for. And right now, Disney Plus, they're losing subscribers, you know, and, you know, it's, I know, and then are they, I think they're going to, or maybe they already did, aren't they going to an ad-based platform now?
Don't remind me.
Is there? I think that's happening.
I think it is.
Yeah. We'll see. Anyway, some more from Cyber Ren here. He says in an agreeing tone, totally am with you guys on they should have let Kylo stay dark and never be redeemed. Wow, that would have been a twist Star Wars has never done. But they love their redemption stories. Could you imagine how far he could have gone after what we saw him do already? I can't imagine. Maybe the darkest character we've ever seen. It would have been, for sure, I feel like. He also says, I hear you, Hannah, but I just honestly don't want comedy in Star Wars. It's already naturally funny within the stories, and that's why I didn't like The Last Jedi. They tried to force humor with dumb jokes instead of letting the situation just happen. But I'm sorry, I really didn't like Visions at all. That's not Star Wars to me.
That's fine.
That's fine. Yeah. Yeah, he's got audiobooks rule, reading books drool. Just no time to actually read, but listening while working or driving, yep, can do that. And once you start, you just can't go back to books because, as David said, the music, the voice acting, the sound effects, it's listening to a movie, and that's what makes it way better than reading for me as well. And then you're totally right. Spirit of Christmas, the giving, caring, sharing, for sure. I was only referring to the retail side of it all, but also you guys have different Thanksgiving than us. Yours is much closer to Christmas. Ours is in October, so it's quite a break between holidays with Halloween in between. Oh, they have Halloween in between.
Oh, dang, they
Thanksgiving
do.
and Christmas. Interesting. Yeah. Yep.
I don't know how Americans would react to that if we were to randomly do that.
No, they wouldn't do that. No. Thanksgiving. I think Thanksgiving's in a good spot.
Yes.
And he finishes up saying, "No dissing here. Can you tell I'm missing talking Star Wars? Just honest countering or agreeing points to be part of your conversation." Yeah, great. No problem, Cyberren. No problem.
None whatsoever. No offenses taken.
Oh gosh, no. Yeah,
No.
He's got strong opinions. I know he does. Let's see. We got Thrawn Addict as well, commenting on last week's episode. It says, "I'm really excited for a Mace Windu novel, which I'm surprised I would be because I wasn't that into his character through the prequels and thought he was just plain judgmental and dismissive all the time. I hope this book gets him more invested. I hope this book gets us more invested in him and dives into more of his past and find out why he is the way he is. Also, I will support any stories taking place either before Phantom Menace or in between it and Attack of the Clones because we barely have any stories in those eras." Agreed. Interested to see what Skeleton Crew is like, as we do not have much info about the story and can't wait to see more tales of the Jedi. Bad Batch is my least anticipated. I think it's due some episodes being amazing, but too many episodes were either filler or just were a bit blah for me and dragged the series down for me. Should have been less episodes and hope season 3 only gets 8 to 10. So, yeah, there you go. Would have preferred no redemption for Kylo and should have stuck with him going full dark side, in my opinion. He killed Han Solo. There's no coming back from that. Mm-hmm. Totally agree.
Yeah. And I will say,
agree with you. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I was about to say, to go back to the Mace Windu comment, I completely agree with him. To me, that when I only saw the prequels, I was like, wow, Mace Windu, who ruined your day? Like, smile, man. Smile.
I have always, I have always loved Mace Windu. I think honestly, it really truly stems from the fact that Samuel L. Jackson was playing the character.
Well, but you're talking to somebody who was a kid when she watched the prequels.
Right. I wasn't a kid.
I didn't know who Samuel L. Jackson was at that age. I'm sorry.
Wow, that is crazy.
I wasn't even a teenager yet when Phantom Menace came out.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
wait, Phantom Menace came out in what, 2002?
No, that was 99.
99? Yeah, I was like 6.
Wait, you were born in when? 93?
93.
Oh my God. Yeah. Wow. I was in college. I was in college when I saw that movie.
So I didn't know who he was.
Yeah, you didn't, because you had not seen. So that means you had not seen like Jurassic Park, True Romance, Pulp Fiction.
I didn't see Pulp Fiction until much later. I did accidentally see Jurassic Park because I got
accidentally.
No, I snuck down and I think I saw the T-Rex scene because my dad was watching it and I snuck downstairs when I was like 3 or 4. It's the first nightmare I ever had was a T-Rex chasing me through the woods.
Oh, funny.
So yeah, so no, I saw, but I didn't see I was too young to actually compute what any of that was. But yeah, no, so I didn't know who he was.
I was a big fan of Sam Jackson, and so when he got into Star Wars. And it was funny because, George says that he wanted him to play Mace and Mace was the one that said, can I have a different colored lightsaber? And George is like, nah, it has to be green or blue. He's like, well, what about purple? And, so that's how that whole thing started. And, I loved him he was in a movie called The Negotiator too. That was really good.
Ooh.
So with Kevin Spacey.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, so I love Sam Jackson, and I think that's what really kind of turned me on to Mace. And honestly, I was a little bummed when Phantom Menace came out because we only got him in that one scene in the council. But when Attack of the Clones came out, and he fight Django, and you saw how powerful he was, and I really dug Mace, and I'm surprised we haven't gotten more stories with him. There's been a couple comic books that have come out, but
and like he was featured in the Clone Wars, the TV show.
Yes.
He's featured in books and comics as well. So so for me, getting to know him through all those like adjacent items, that's what I was like, okay, Mace is really, really cool. But yeah, no, when I first saw Mace in the prequels, I'm like, wow, what a jerk.
Funny. That is funny. Yeah. Yeah. So Thrawn Addict feels the same way you do.
Yeah.
Let's see. He goes on to say, I agree with you both. Novels and audiobooks take time. I can see why a lot of people avoid them. I love to read, but have trouble finding the time to read anything non-Star Wars because they bring out several novels a year. You're right. I have Amazon Prime and get a free credit a month and usually download a Star Wars book I have already read to have it in background that I'm whilst I'm doing other things. It annoys me though because when I'm listening to them, I usually find out I've been pronouncing a name wrong the entire time.
Yes.
True. Very true. Thanks again for you both for all you do and have a great Christmas. May the Force be with you. Thank you, Thrawn Addict. Thank you for being such a great supporter of us and of course a master patron. Really, really do appreciate that. Cyber Ren, of course, thank you for your comments. As always, debates are always welcome.
Yes.
And of course, catch us or catch myself. Hannah, I think, is going to come on eventually. We're do another one, but catch us with Cyber on the Mandalorian podcast. We're on kind of a little bit of a hiatus, obviously, because there's no Star Wars series out on Disney Plus. That's what we're covering on there. So as soon as probably the Bad Batch being the next one starts up again, we'll do that again. So there you go. And again, with Thrawn Addict as one of our patrons, thanks to our other patrons this year for supporting us. You know, like I said, we've got some plans coming for 2024 that we'll talk about next week. A lot of it is going to involve our patrons and some more Patreon content. So getting that lined up, but looking forward to that. Looking forward to doing some more in 2024. Yeah, because it's been, just to kind of put it out there as we wrap up 2023. Personally, it's been a crazy year. We the company that Hannah and I work for, we got a new CEO this year, and that with that comes a lot of just catching up and a lot of work to kind of mold and change the company based on what he wants to do and what his vision is. So, that took a lot of time, a lot of effort on my part because I'm the chief operating officer of the company. So I'm running everything, and I had to do a lot of adjusting. And again, not saying that that's an excuse not to do more for this show. It's just, it was very exhausting. And
I was about to say, there are many days where I'm like, are you even sleeping, my dude? Like,
yeah, no. I usually don't need that much sleep, but as I'm getting older, it's like I kind of do. But there's physical tiredness, but then there's mental tiredness. And I never really get mentally tired. I got mentally tired this year. And physically, I don't really get, my body tells me when I want to go to bed, and my body doesn't need as much sleep. But my mind, I felt like my mind needed more sleep this year. And I feel like we're in a good spot in the company now. I feel like we've got our goals and we've got things laid out that we're going to be doing. So mentally, I feel a little bit clearer. These past few weeks have really, I've worked on a lot, kind of getting things lined up for this year, and so I feel like we're in a good spot for the company. I feel like I'm in a good spot with what my responsibilities are. So I think it's going to be a lot easier to do that. I'm not even sure if I mentioned this on here, but my wife lost her sister this year, back in May. and I know I didn't really talk. I don't think I talked about it much on here or to share, but that was, that was a long recovery time for the family, and especially my wife, who's still grieving. And we're with her name, because she did so much for the community here that we live in Kentucky. Like everybody, like most people do when people pass, they start kind of a memorial fund, and she got a lot of money for that we used to help families around town that she would want us to do. But in lieu of that, or in kind of reaction to that, we wanted to keep her legacy going, so we started a foundation in her name, which my wife and I are we're the presidents of, basically. So we're helping run that. We're helping raise money and help families. We helped several families over the Christmas break that were facing hard times and things like that. So that's been a lot of stuff that we're kind of getting in order, and that takes a lot of time to get going, and bank accounts and websites and all the stuff that you got to do to kind of create that company and things like that. So anyway, not trying to, make any excuses or anything about, I feel like we still kind of kept our show going as much as we could, and we were, definitely not as much as I wanted to as far as the other shows. I mean, we did Inside the Force every week as much as we could, when we weren't on vacation or anything like that. I feel like we kept that going, and, we definitely didn't do as many Beyond the Sagas as I wanted to and things like that. But those are the ones that were kind of, where my time kind of fell apart on things like that. But, like I said, and this was something I was actually going to talk about next week more, but I'm a little more focused for next year now, and looking forward to talking more Star Wars and doing more Star Wars stuff. So anyway, that was my 2023 in a nutshell, personally. So I don't know if Hannah, if you want to share anything about your.
While I don't bear as much of the duties and responsibilities that Dave does at work, life has been crazy outside of that for a lot of, different reasons, whether it was travel or trying to get other things in order, or my grandmother passing away and trying to help out with that. My husband, he lost his uncle as well, and that was very sudden. So it was a lot of that, a lot of trying to get family stuff done, trying to see family reach out. My sister-in-law got married, so there's just a lot. I think yours was more work related, even though you had some major life stuff. Yours was also more work related. Mine was more life related. There was just a lot of moving things that have happened this year. And so I hope 2024 calms down a bit.
Yeah, and I think, and honestly, maybe, that might be something, I don't know, maybe that's something, I didn't really think about that, but I don't know if that's something we can maybe share more on with this. I think there's, because, we talk nothing but Star Wars usually on these things, and we rarely talk about things happening in our personal lives and things that affect, but I know, because I watch other people's content, and you don't know at all what's happening in their lives. You just think that that's all they're doing is this show, and and this is not all we're obviously doing, and this is something we do on our own time, and we need to get a lot of stuff in order in our lives first to be able to do this. And again, not to say that that's any kind of excuse or any kind of not searching for any kind of sympathy or anything like that.
Yeah.
But, we do appreciate everybody that does listen and watch. And, we're trying to put the best, talk as much as Star Wars as we can and have it enjoyable for everybody. And, Star Wars, as I'm sure Hannah will agree, Star Wars is still and always will be a very, very important part of my life.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is one of my loves, and I don't see a time in my life where I won't be into Star Wars. I've been into it so many years of my life, and I love doing the show, and I love talking about it, and it's and it just gets me hyped up whenever I hear comments like this and people wanting to talk with us about it. So as long as I see some numbers on our stuff, then I guess we'll keep going as long as we can.
What he said.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, all right, this show went a little longer than I thought, but
yeah.
Thank you, Hannah. This was the last one for 2023. So
thank you, Dave, for a wonderful 2023. Excited for 2024.
Yes, we will be back next week. Hope everybody has a safe and happy new year.
Yes.
We will be back next week to talk about all the things coming out in 2024, what we look forward to most, and of course, what we've got in store for you for Inside the Force as we get into what's going to be the 11th year of this show, actually.
Oof.
Yeah. Oh, so that was a milestone this year, was our 10th anniversary.
Hey!
Hey! Yeah. So, all right. Almost 11 years come March.
All right. Awesome.
All right. Thank you, 2023. We will see you in 2024. For Hannah Burr.
Thank you very much. For Dave Cottingham.
Thank you all. Take care. Happy New Year. Be safe. Come back next week. We'll see you then. May the Force be with you.